Do you ever get the sense that you're drifting in your business? This is something that's been reflected back to me by clients, and I've also experienced in my own life. And because it's one of the things that can really stymie the momentum of a business or project, I really wanted to get into this. What exactly does it mean when we're drifting? What's really going on there behind the scenes? And how also can we just snap out of it and get on with our lives and businesses? Drifting is the topic of today's video, and I hope you're going to find it helpful. First of all, I think drifting is something that as business owners, most of us have probably experienced. So the first thing I'm going to do with a client who feels like they're drifting is to snap them back into their vision. What are they doing at the moment? What is the purpose of it? What is the long game? Because the time this most often happens is when people are in the trenches, building out a strategy for the long term and not really seeing the immediate results that of course give you that reward that then propel you to continue. And that can lead to drift. And I think the other major thing is that it happens when people aren't translating their vision into action. This is where it's so important just to sit down every day to remind yourself why you're doing the things you're doing. To plan your week out with that in mind. And if you sense that you're drifting, come back to the plan. Come back to the vision. Come back and lay it out. Perhaps you need to do it in a slightly different way. Perhaps it's time to sort of shake things up a bit. But we really only get that sense that we're drifting when we know deep down that we're not following the plan. And for some reason, we're allowing ourselves to drift from that or not allow it to happen in the timescale that it could happen. Sometimes we get that sense of drifting because there's something else going on. Sometimes it's because we're not getting enough sleep, or we're not eating right, we're not treating ourselves well enough. And so we're just feeling a bit subpar and not on our A game. But then again, if you're feeling like that, ask yourself, what is it that I need to give myself to be on my A game? To not feel like I'm drifting, but to feel like I'm completely on purpose again, that I'm on track, that I know what I'm doing, and that I'm taking action towards my goals. And yes, that might be a plan, and that might be sitting down with a blank sheet of paper again and reminding yourself why you're doing this. Or it might be something more pragmatic, more practical. Perhaps it is around food or exercise, or how you're spending your time, how early you're going to bed, what time you're getting up in the morning, switching up your morning routine. And yet it's not only about the practical actions or the having a plan and being connected to the vision and doing that day by day. It's also getting control of our thoughts. Sometimes we drift when it just seems to be taking ages to achieve something and we don't have enough of that reward to keep us going, to spur us on. And sometimes we drift just because we're bored with this part of the process. And actually it is about going back to remind ourselves why we're doing it, and also that this is a situation that's temporary, because drifting only exacerbates the problem. Let's face it, if you're in the middle of something which will be a stepping stone to that next level of where you are in your business, and it is going to take some time and you're bored, then something needs to change. You need to step away from that and find a way to alleviate that boredom. Whether that's something on a personal level, or it's something like switching up an environment, getting in some help, splitting things up into smaller chunks, something that increases the momentum of that situation. Because if that is a stepping stone or a bridge that you need, you've got to just find some way of getting through it to get to that next step. Drifting is only, I promise you, going to prolong the agony. So 3 major things to do if you're feeling that sense of drifting. Number 1, go back to the vision. Go back to why you're doing what you're doing at the moment. Where does it fit within that overarching strategy of where you want your business to be? Why is it important? Is it even important? If so, why are you doing it? Secondly, ask yourself, what do I need to be on my A game? Note down a few things that really come to mind and then make those changes today so that you can stop that sense of drifting. And thirdly, check your thoughts. If you're feeling really frustrated because you're not there yet and you have to spend your time doing something you really don't want to do, change how you think about it. Remember that it's temporary. Do what you can to alleviate that boredom that you're feeling or that sense of really being in the trenches. Get some help on board if you can. Remind yourself that it will be worth it in the end, but also think about, are there ways that I can do this more efficiently? How can I speed up this process? Because often when we're drifting, we're far too much in our thoughts as opposed to solving the problem in front of us. So always, as soon as possible, get back into action. So I hope that's helpful. I know it's not a very nice place to be when you sense that you're drifting, because for somebody who's incredibly ambitious, you know that you've got a lot that you want to achieve, and that's what you particularly find motivating. But at the same time, what I do find is sometimes we're also quite hard on ourselves. And actually some very simple changes can get us back on track. So get to work and make some of those changes today, because I know they're going to make a massive difference in your business. Take care, and I'll see you next time.